Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, the podcast where we talk sports and shoot the shit. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, how are you this evening?
Just fine. Yourself?
Oh, I can't complain too much. I will say, hey, for first-time listeners, first-time people, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow, or like on Facebook and follow on Twitter. We go live every single Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also go live streamed during big sporting events, whether it's college football, NFL games, college basketball, baseball, hockey, doesn't matter. Any big sporting event, we try to go live during. So if you like the content and you like myself and the Grumpy Old Man, I implore you, stick around, subscribe on YouTube. That being said, Grump, a lot happened since our last Thursday podcast.
Yeah.
Most notably, college football playoffs. They came out with the four teams that are going to be playing. It's going to be number 1 seed of Alabama, number 2 seed of Michigan, number 3 seed of Georgia, number 4 seed of Cincinnati. Grump, I want to get your take.
Not surprised, right? You kind of knew that's what it was going to be. There was no way that Georgia and Alabama were going to play 2 weeks in a row in essence, right? So you knew they were going to split them up, and what they're hoping for is an Alabama-Georgia final. That's what they're hoping for.
I do agree. I think of it like this. Right, Michigan beat the living breaks off of Iowa the week before. And again, I don't think Iowa is as good as their ranking was, but still, they were when Michigan beat them, they beat 2 weeks ago the number 3 team Ohio State, given it was at home. They beat the number 3 team Ohio State, and then they went ahead and beat the brakes off of Iowa. And what was the score, like 42-3 or some nonsense like that? They beat the living shit out of them, Grump.
Yeah, 42-3. It's a blowout. Absolute blowout.
And here it is, right? I do think when you talk about any type of mischievous actions by the college football playoff committee, I think this is about as plain to see as humanly possible. I think Michigan got robbed out of the number 1 seed because we can all say whoever's the 1 seed was going to walk over Cincinnati. Didn't matter if that was Georgia, Alabama, or Michigan. Either one of those 3 teams had it's like essentially a bye week. It's like a tune-up week. Hell, you might even start practicing and preparing a little bit for your next week's opponent. So I tell you, the Cincinnati team is hideous. I mean, I know they're in it, and I kind of, in a certain sense, am happy that Cincinnati made it in, because how many more times are we going to hear, oh, the small team that went undefeated never got a shot. UCF never got a shot. Yeah, Cincinnati never got a shot. I just don't want to hear that bullshit anymore. So what I want to have happen is Alabama rolls out there and beats them 50-0, and we can never hear that stupid argument about a mid-major team trying to punch up and having any chance. I mean, I'm sorry, they're not going to have a shot in hell.
My whole thing is, I don't know how Georgia only slips down to 3. Okay, if you want to somehow leap Alabama up to 1, how does Georgia stay at 3? They did not win a conference championship. Cincinnati, Michigan, and Alabama did. Georgia lost their last game. They should at least drop to 4. I mean, it wasn't even like it was a close game, right? I mean, Alabama was in control after Georgia went up 10-0. The rest of the game was Alabama all the way. And so why isn't Georgia down at number 4? I just think there's a lot of other ways. I mean, here's the thing. It was easy for them to do that. Cincinnati doesn't care. They're just happy to be in the Final Four. Yep. Michigan's a team that got robbed. And here's the thing. I don't think Michigan's better than Alabama. Not at all. But, when you're number 2 and you blow out a team in your conference championship game, you should elevate to 1. You should.
And let me also ask you this. Georgia lost in the conference finals to Alabama. So it's not like they won a conference. Does Notre Dame have any, do they have any arguing or any point or any leg to stand on arguing that they deserved a shot in the college football playoffs?
No.
You said no?
No. They didn't play last week. Their regular season was over. Since they're not in a conference, they don't have a shot. It doesn't matter. I don't think Notre Dame's that good.
I don't think that that could either, but we can look at this and say, yeah, Notre Dame did lose the first week of the season against the number 4 team, Cincinnati. And you look at the wins that they've beaten higher ranked teams this year than Georgia has. The strength of schedule for Notre Dame was a higher strength of schedule than it was for Georgia.
Georgia plays in the SEC.
I get it. They play in the worst division in the SEC. The SEC East is garbage, Grump.
Okay, but you're not going to convince me that Notre Dame played a tougher schedule than Georgia. Notre Dame didn't play anyone this year. The only team that's is Cincinnati, who you consider maybe a high-level team, and they lost to them. Who was next? Wisconsin?
They beat Wisconsin, but look at Georgia. I mean, have you ever looked at who's Georgia's we did this a little bit on our live stream during the game, during Baylor against Oklahoma State when we went live during the game. Georgia hasn't really played or beat anybody this season. Florida, right, when they played them, Florida's so great. Florida was miserable this year. Kentucky, they're so great. Yeah, Kentucky was miserable this year.
Well,
they started off 6 or 7-0 when they beat, St. Mary's Sisters of the Poor, and they started getting the conference play, and they got battered, right? Those are not good teams.
Well, you could say that when Georgia beat them, that ended their season.
Oh,
that's what you could say. They sent them in a downward spiral.
Oh, I tell you, man, that's ridiculous. Grump, something else. But seriously, the best win they had was against Arkansas this season, right? Kentucky, they were a fringe top 25 team. Tennessee, certainly no great shakes. Missouri's no great shakes. I don't think Notre Dame had, the hardest schedule in the world. I mean, they did beat Wisconsin in a neutral site game, though.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Wisconsin wasn't very good. I'm sorry. What was their record? They were terrible down the stretch too, right? If you're going to do it one way against Georgia, you got to do the same thing in Notre Dame. You're
not. They weren't. You've never watched a Wisconsin game. They weren't.
So what, they lose 4 games?
They start off 0-3 on the season. So
how many games they lose?
They lost 4 games.
Okay, so their team sucks then, right?
Oh, okay. They lost to Michigan.
You could say
lost to Michigan State. And
you could say
they lost to Ohio State, or they lost to Iowa, who was a top. All the teams they lost to were top 25 teams, every single one of them.
Well, what can I tell you?
Wisconsin's a great shakes, but they're still a fringe top 25 team.
Yeah, Georgia had a tougher schedule than Notre Dame. Notre Dame didn't beat anyone.
The strength of schedule was tougher for Notre Dame than it was for Georgia. That's
but they play weak teams, so their records might be better, but they're crappier teams. The SEC. Even if only one team was in bowl eligible in the SEC, only one. Georgia beat them all. Whoever they came up against in the SEC, Georgia beat. All bowl teams, every single one. How many bowl teams did Notre Dame beat?
I can pull that for you, but
yeah. Here's the thing. You want to know why you didn't pull it first? Because it doesn't help prove your point. You need to start wearing a shirt on this podcast.
Grumpy, you sound like Lou Holtz right now. You sound like you
sound like somebody who needs to wear a shirt.
That's what I sound like?
Yes.
Oh, man. Well, remember, Purdue was a fringe top 25 team. They beat Purdue. They beat Michigan. I mean, Grump, I could go through the list, but I don't have all the numbers done. I'm sure. Here it is, right? I'm sure that Georgia beat more bowl eligible teams this year. No doubt about it. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying the strength of schedule technically was in Notre Dame's favor, and both teams didn't win a conference championship. And Georgia just lost. So, I don't know. It's worth taking into account. I'm just saying I could see the argument. I'm no Notre Dame fan at all. I told you. I said this from the beginning. Them not being able to play in a bowl game was going to cost them a chance to make the college football playoffs. And it did. That's all I want to say. I just wanted to present the other argument. I think there was maybe a valid point with it. Meatball Parm. Ooh, look at that, Grump, saying good evening.
You know what? Meatball Parm's something special. I make a little comment about the cheese, and there he is. He right away corrected that.
Ooh, man, I tell you.
It looks good. I bet you can eat one of those sandwiches right now, couldn't you?
I haven't eaten dinner yet, so yeah, I'm hungry. Meatball Parm also saying, let's see how the Islanders are going to blow this game.
2-2 after 2. That's where it was. 2-2 after 2.
Don't be shocked if the Islanders find a way to lose. And people are shitting on Aho again, as usual. Ugh.
I don't know. He's been fine for me.
Tony Cheese, I'm happy you brought this up. He said, I had maybe 3 or 4 awesome and insightful comments yesterday, but because Phil was on yesterday, they were overlooked. Thanks, Phil. Trust me, Tony Cheese. We saw the first comment you dropped, and we discussed it before we even started the podcast. We loved it, Tony Cheese. Your comments did not go unnoticed by us. That is for certain. We noticed them.
Yeah, TJ's in charge of the comments, so you know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of TJ's buddies, you ever see how many comments Tommy Baffy has up there? And TJ leaves them up there forever. Hello. He'll leave it up there for 10 minutes. Those are blow-by comments.
Aaron G is saying, I thought Kenneth Walker was robbed of the Heisman Trophy. The Heisman Trophy is fake to me now. Doesn't even exist anymore.
Was today the Heisman? I thought that's a separate ceremony.
It's the Heisman. The Heisman comes out, I believe, on Saturday? ?
Yeah, I think it's Saturday. Today they have like the Davey O'Brien Award, all the other awards. The
Davey O'Brien and Doak Walker was won by Bryce Young. Here's the thing, though. I think the Offensive Player of the Year award went to Bryce Young. So if that's going to happen, we could just assume that the Heisman's also going to Bryce Young. I mean, I think it's a shoo-in, right? If you're taking money to Vegas, I'm putting it on Bryce Young to win it.
I don't think anyone really stood out this year for individual accolades.
It was a kind of a nondescript season, and you talk about the they always say, hey, Heisman Trophy winners have that Heisman moment. Yeah, the Heisman moment for Bryce Young didn't come until last week, until they beat Georgia. Here's the thing: I don't think Georgia. I think Georgia's a flawed team. I've mentioned it before. They don't have a quarterback. Their defense is fantastic. If Alabama plays Georgia in the finals, Alabama will beat Georgia again. I even thought I said that Alabama was going to beat the brakes off of Georgia before that game. I'm not all into Georgia. I think that I think Kirby Smart is he's a choke artist in the big game in a moment, and Nick Saban has his number. And the Alabama team, despite all the close games they were playing, is much better offensively than Georgia's defense.
Yeah, I was rooting for Georgia, but Georgia just can't beat Alabama. Kirby Smart just can't. No matter, it doesn't matter. They could be up 50 points, they'll still wind up somehow losing. That's just the way it is right now. Until he actually beats them, he's not going to beat them. I mean, like I said, but Alabama came to play, right? Alabama absolutely came to play Saturday night.
Yeah.
Let's give them credit because they have not looked good all year. They were jackpot lucky to beat Auburn with the help of the officials and some really questionable plays by some of the Auburn players down the stretch. Just some really dumb stuff. And it wound up costing them. When you go 4 overtimes and you win 24-22, whatever the heck the score was, you're not playing well. But you're right, they have Georgia's number, and they were hitting hard. I mean, my gosh, that was almost NFL quality the way they were hitting out there.
Think about how many players on each for each of those teams that they produce that are NFL quality. I mean, like it's insane.
It's funny because TJ was out of town last week, so I took a couple of clients to the ACC championship game, Pittsburgh against Wake Forest, and I'm going to tell you what. Neither one of those teams would have stood up to Alabama or Georgia. Either one, because Georgia was hitting too. I agree with you with the quarterback thing, but I enjoyed going to that bowl game. I didn't have a dog in the fight, so I would see Wake Forest fans. I say go Pitt. I see Pittsburgh fans. I say go Wake, just to get everybody riled up. I got to stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah, I'll tell you, neither of those two teams would have a chance against Alabama. Is the best team in the nation. It's not even close. I mean, sometimes every once in a while you'll get a team that's like, okay, Clemson's put together a solid team. If Georgia had a quarterback, Georgia would be the best team in the nation. They don't, though. It's simple as that. They just don't have the QB. So, and Alexander's saying, what do you guys think of the Mario Cristobal hiring? He also says, by the way, how are you guys? Doing well, Alexander. Thanks for asking. Well, Grumpy, I'll let you touch on first Mario Cristobal going to the University of Miami. We talked about that last podcast on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. We said, even though he was being offered a very, very nice deal to stay in Oregon, he got they got the shit kicked out of him against Utah. And I said, he's going to Miami.
Let's give credit where credit is due. Alexander was the first one to mention Cristobal to Miami. He mentioned it 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't run him down because I like Alexander, but I think TJ said, what the hell, Alexander? You know what you're talking about. That's something TJ would do, not me, though. No, but he was right. He was right. He was first one on. Alexander, you were first on it. I think it's a good signing for them. I think he's a really, really good recruiter. And I think it's going to get not Miami back on the map, like they've been off the map, but a lot of those guys in Florida who have maybe gone somewhere else want to go play for the U. I still think that name has power to it, just like USC does out in California. And that's why you're going to see Lincoln Riley and Mario Cristobal turn those two franchises around.
Okay, well,
franchises. That's what they are. They say they're schools. They're really franchises. They're football factories.
Okay, well, so much to unpack there because you try to slide in those little things I would dispute you on immediately. You try to slide them into the conversation, Grub. That being said, I'll tell you, Cristobal to Miami, fantastic. Miami, even when they were struggling under Manny Diaz, they could still recruit. I mean, Miami pretty much, as long as you have a new guy in charge, you'll always be able to gather some of the top recruits in Florida. That being said, Mario Cristobal is a hell of a recruiter. The biggest issue for him has been and always will be, has he been able to develop a quarterback yet? The ACC Coastal, I think, is where they are. That it's a relatively weak division, right?
Isn't Clemson in that division?
No, they're in the Atlantic. So Miami's in the Coastal with teams like Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech. It's not a very, very strong division. I think they have a chance now with Cristobal coming there. They're going to be loaded. I mean, they're going to be loaded, no doubt about it. And with recruits and, better quality players, I think they're a shoo-in probably to win that division with consistent years because that division has like flip-flopped between multiple different teams. Virginia last year, Pittsburgh in 20, it flip-flopped all over the place. But I think Cristobal could really help that program out. Can he develop the quarterback? That is the biggest thing. You mentioned Lincoln Riley, Grumpy. You're gonna get me fired up, Grumpy, this early. But did you hear the news that Oregon has asked to been in contact with Chip Kelly? Yes. Chip Kelly probably going to be making his return to Oregon, Grump. It's what it looks like it's penciled in as. Now, what do you think of that? I mean, like a good for all parties, or can he recreate what put Oregon on the map originally years ago?
What's that saying? You can never go home again? Maybe that'll be the instance, what's going on there. Where is he coaching now? Is it UCLA?
UCLA. And they were talking about maybe he might be on the chopping block at UCLA at the beginning of this season because he didn't have one of those signature key wins and they wanted more from him. So he went from job might be in jeopardy early on in the season to, hey, he secured safety. And now I guess Oregon is interested in him.
Again, though, if you're looking really for traditional powerhouse, what's a bigger school in the Pac-12? It's UCLA. It's not Oregon. I mean, he turned that Oregon program around, and then the bloom came off the rose when he went to coach with the Eagles, and he's never quite gotten that back. And you wonder if he can do it. Remember, he's older now. How many years ago was he in Oregon? 10, 15 years ago? It's been a while, right? I mean, so, it just, I don't know. He's older.
I'm not saying he's only 58.
Yeah, okay. But when he was coaching there before, he was what, like in his
last year he coached there was in 2012, so about nine seasons ago. So about
in his 40s.
Late 40s, mid to late 40s.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he's 58 now, so I don't know what type of pull he has recruiting wise.
I feel like he's going to be able to pick up where he left off recruiting wise, right? He was a hell of a recruiter towards the end.
Okay, but what's it been like at UCLA with him? Not too good.
A little different. It's tougher to recruit to UCLA.
No, it's not. No, absolutely it is. Absolutely not. University of California, Los Angeles, absolutely not. It's a marquee school. Them and USC are the two traditional powers in the Pac-12. They've had a few down years now, but, I mean, you should be able to recruit those two schools. And that's what you're going to see with Lincoln Riley there. That's for certain.
I swear to God. Aaron G saying, sorry, Kenneth Walker was not the finalist for the Heisman Trophy. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So, you're right. He's not the finalist. The four were CJ Stroud was the one that kind of left me scratching my head a bit. It was CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett, and Aiden Hutchinson.
I don't see why the Stroud kid should surprise you. He had a really good year for Ohio State this year. Really good. Until the Michigan game, he was the favorite.
Every time when the game mattered, he just it wasn't all that impressive. I'm sorry. You look at he struggled against Oregon. Remember, Oregon beat Ohio State the first game of the season, their second game of the season, I think.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. I mean, a long time ago. You're
Okay.
talking about the second week of the season. You realize they've had what, 6, 7, 8 Heisman Trophy. You know what I always hate after week one? Oh, here's the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. Okay, it's one game, and they do it every single week. The only time it's even worth looking at, honestly, is maybe the last 3 weeks of the season. That's it. When you get to rivalry week and championship week, that's when you start looking at it. Not at week 2 or 3. Come on.
I don't disagree. All those early predictors and indicators for who's going to win the Heisman is absurd. That also being said, I tell you,
Who's the okay?
I could see Hutchinson maybe was the guy you leave out too. I mean, like Hutchinson and Stroud and Walker all kind of on the same level. I mean, Pickett put up good numbers, so we knew he was going to be in there, even though he plays in probably the weakest conference out of everybody who's a Heisman finalist right there. He didn't have a chance to win the Heisman though. It was going to be Bryce Young, especially after I don't even feel like the Heisman finalist. Matt doesn't even matter. You know, it's going to be Bryce Young.
I disagree with you with Hutchinson. He had 13 and a half sacks this year for Michigan, and he was a real force, a real disruptor on the outside. I like the defensive players have a shot at it.
No,
why not?
Sorry. Here's the thing. Yeah, okay.
Particularly in the way the college football is played now. Everything's a spread offense, throwing the ball over the park. You know what? It's nice. I have no problem with the defensive player getting those type of accolades. None at all.
I'm sorry. You just look at it in years past. It's not the same. Okay, and the other thing that's worth mentioning is you have to win, right? You have to win games in order to even be a Heisman finalist. You can have individual brilliance on a team that's struggling, and you'll never have a chance to win the Heisman. It's just how it is. Colt Brennan could have thrown for 2 times as many yards and 5 times as many touchdowns as any quarterback. But the fact that they were unable to win games every once in a while and they struggle in the big moment was the reason why he would never win a Heisman. Now, you talk about, hey, I like Hutchinson. He had 13 and a half sacks. Aaron Donald, his senior season in college football, had, as a defensive tackle, mind you, 11 sacks, 28 and a half tackles for loss. It was more tackles for loss by, I think it was 10 more tackles for loss than any other defensive player. Wasn't even having a chance to be sniffed up there, right? Because they don't win games. So, I mean, is Hutchinson's individual performance all that great? I don't know. Debatable, Grump. Debatable.
I don't know. I think he's pretty good. And another thing you left out, you have to play for a big-time school, too. You're not going to see somebody get the Heisman from Piddly Pop U. Just not going to happen. I remember one year, Ed Marinaro, who wound up being an actor on on Hill Street Blues and other movies. He was a running back for Cornell, if you can believe that, Cornell University.
Yeah.
And he, I think, came in second in like 1971, something like that, for the Heisman Trophy. And it was quite an achievement. I think I want to say he had like 1,800 yards rushing, something like that. And he wound up coming in second. But if he played for a big school, he would have won. Big, pretty kid, good running back, and, smart. Obviously, you're not going to Cornell being a dummy. But like I said, you have to go to a big school nowadays.
Now, and you look at Kenneth Walker's stats.
One other thing, before the advent of cable television and ESPN, you very rarely saw, you would have to be someone who is on national TV all the time, because it's not like, oh, we can stream every game, we can watch all these highlights. You had to actually be on television for these voters. So a lot of the teams that played late night games out on the West Coast, they didn't get the love either, because no one got to actually see them play. But now it's different, of course.
Of course, yeah. Now, that also being said, I forgot, Kenneth Walker's stats are phenomenal this year, too. If you can make a claim for running back, who the hell? Toby Gerhart. Do you remember? Was it Toby or Tony Gerhart, the guy from Stanford? Toby. He was the white running back from Stanford before McCaffrey. And his numbers, he was a Heisman finalist. And I think back to myself, I'm like, yeah, I think Walker's numbers were better than Toby Gerhardt's numbers too. Holy crap! You want to talk about ticking the clock back? Toby freaking Gerhardt, Grump. Oh man.
Yes. I don't know the fact that he's white has anything to do with it, but
No, I'm just saying it was funny, right? That Stanford had the white back and Gerhardt, and then went to another white back with McCaffrey. You don't see a lot of white running backs in college football, is all.
yeah, that's true. That's true. It depends on what school you go to. It really does.
I forgot he was a second round pick, Toby Gerhardt. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, with Minnesota. Didn't pan out though.
No. And here's the thing. You look at it, Gerhardt had a lot lower numbers of rushes, rushing yards per game. He did also have 10 more rushing touchdowns. So I mean, maybe that also had to play with it. But I think Walker should have been included. Hutchinson or Stroud could have left, for my opinion. Walker had a fantastic season, but none of them would have had a chance to win. And Alexander also saying, I thought the hiring by Miami was great. He's a Miami guy. I was about to say that also helps a lot. Cristobal grew up in Florida. He also played for Miami, and now he's coming back to coach. You want to talk about a guy who's going to have a fantastic job recruiting. He'll be putting next year. Book it. Put this in the books. I don't care what Miami's record is. They could lose. Well, not every game. They could lose. They could only win one game all next season. They're going to win more than that. But Mario Cristobal will have a top 5 recruiting class next season.
Just like Lincoln Riley. Just like Lincoln Riley will at USC.
No, he won't.
You watch.
Okay. Now he's got a real big-time guy over there competing. Tony Shee says, TJ wants an offensive lineman to win the Heisman.
Go John Hanna.
Go Evan Neal. That's who. I mean, that's who's John Hanna, Grump?
Ugh. John Hanna. Probably the greatest guard who ever played football. The greatest.
How many years ago was this?
In the 70s.
Okay, Grump. I wasn't alive to watch John Hanna.
I can't believe you don't know his name. He's like here's the thing. He made last year, they had the top 100 players in NFL history. He made it at guard. Think about that. Played for the New England Patriots his whole career. Played for the University of Alabama. If they had the whatever trophy it is for offensive linemen.
The Outland Trophy is what
okay. He won that. He was good. Really good. Dominant.
Alexander said, man, Noah Dobson is another level.
He's getting the shot.
I guess what happens.
See what happens when you
Noah Dobson scored tonight too, Grump.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you give young players a chance and don't fall into that old paradigm of we're just going to roll the vets out there. Give them a chance and look how they surprise you. He has another level to go to. The old guys don't. Hopefully Barry's turned the page on that because honestly, you're seeing Jarnack, Bellows, and Wallstrom look really good as a line. You know what you don't see on there? Any of the sacred cows that Barry likes to play. I have no problem with those 3 guys playing together right now. None.
Noah Dobson's going to hit over 10 goals this season.
I'll
stick by it. Feels facts. I'll stick by it. Tony G said also, thank you so much for mixing up that also being said is much better than that being said.
Oh, shit, man. Tony is coming. I think he's a little bit unhappy that you didn't mention any of his comments yesterday, and he's coming out firing.
He's coming out firing. Alexander says, don't look now, Grump, but Tua has 4 straight games of 100 or more quarterback rating.
Who'd they beat? The Jets, the Lions, they lost to the Jaguars. So who they beating? I don't think anyone any good.
Well, they did have an easy schedule in the second half of the stretch, and Alexander said he was expecting them to run table. Looks like they might be able to.
They have to play New England again, don't they? Talk about a team shitting the bed. Buffalo. I don't know how they lost Monday night. New England threw the ball 3 times the whole game. 3. It's mind-boggling. They go down 8-0 because they go for it going into the wind. New England does a 69. They had them bottled up. Damian Harris, 69-yard touchdown run right up the middle. Man, I'll tell you what, Buffalo cannot stop the run right now. And right up the gut, right? 69 yards. And they go for 2. It's 8-0. Buffalo comes back, and they go for an extra point. Why are you going for an extra point? Why not just try to match the 2? It doesn't matter if you're down by 1 or 2. And they miss a field goal late. which would have meant if they would have went for the 2 earlier, they could have went for another field goal at the end. I mean, the guy misses a 30-yard kick, 33-yard kick, first one in however many years.
Well, the win was very, very, very crazy.
I don't give a shit. You're a professional kicker. Look at where he was lined up. You knew the wind was blowing that way. And I mean, you could tell as soon as he kicked, I'm like, why are you aiming for the post? You know it's going to get blown wide. Hook it a little bit. The wind's blowing at 50 miles an hour, is blowing it the other way. Nick Folk had no problem doing it. I mean, he read that wind perfectly. This guy, that's his home stadium, and he couldn't get it right.
Josh Allen has not been fantastic this season, right? Maybe playing with the fans in the stands changes things up, or maybe last year he caught lightning in a bottle.
I'll be interested in how he does this week down in Tampa Bay against the Bucs.
You got to win there. And then Alexander said Toby Gerhart, in my opinion, was overshadowed by Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson's better than Toby Gerhart.
Adrian Peterson was he in college too. Man, oh man, that was legit, no doubt about it. He was fantastic.
Gerhart was really good. He put up great numbers at Stanford, but was he really a great back? I don't know. Like I said, I just don't see a lot of those West Coast teams just don't get the love. They just don't. It's going to change now with Lincoln Riley being out there, though. Right, TJ?
You bastard. Now, I will tell you this. I forgot Toby Gerhart had 28 rushing touchdowns, man. 28.
Yeah. He was good there. He was good. He was really good in college. Some guys have great college backs, great college football players, Tim Tebow, and just not pros. Their game just doesn't translate. Toby Gerhart was one of those guys who's a little too slow for the NFL.
A little too slow for certain. They hit a hell of a lot harder. Drew L said, "Are you guys watching a Steelers game?" Steelers.
No, we're doing this podcast.
The Steelers are getting rolled, a grumpy old man. Holy crap!
They're going to be in full rebuild after this year.
That they will. They'll be in full rebuild. Big Ben is yikes, man. They kept them 1 year or 1 or 2 years too long. And I mean, they're up. I think they're up 23-0. The Minnesota Vikings.
I tell you what, Mike Tomlin. Okay, when you compare Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Steelers, to Bill Belichick, he's a failure, but he's a good coach. He's a really good coach. And Pittsburgh has absolutely been the model for consistency. Think about it. Since 69, Chuck Noll came in, or 1970. They've only had 3 head coaches. Think about that.
Bill
in
Cowher.
50 years. Noll, Cowher, Tomlin. 50 years, 50-plus years, 3 head coaches. They're a model franchise. They really are.
Frankie G saying here, do you guys think the Islanders will close it out? They just tied the game up at 3. Nashville did. I hate to see it.
I am DVRing the game. I want to watch it, TJ.
Okay, good. So as soon as I see the end score, you want me to blur it out to you?
Well, no. Here's the thing. Here's what I like about you. When we do those watch-alongs and I start telling what's going on in the game, you tell me to shut down. We're not even doing a watch-along, and here you are practically doing play-by-play, giving me scoring updates.
Oh, I apologize, Grump. I won't tell you any more updates. I apologize.
I'll just close my ears.
Fair enough. Alexander's saying, did you guys see that pass by Wallstrom to Zarnak? It was fantastic. Fantastic.
Yes. It was great. And hey, let's give credit to Zarnak, right? He's not afraid to close that net. He's not afraid to close in on that net, right? That's what you want to do.
Fantastic across the board.
And Kiefer Bellows has looked really good too today.
Alexander saying Mac Jones sucks. I'm not sure about that.
I disagree with that. I don't think he's great, but I don't think he sucks.
I cannot believe that he's a Player of the Week nominee after only completing 2 of 3 passes. Is that a joke?
That has to be a joke.
Yeah, I agree. You put him on another team, he would have been an All-Pro back.
I don't think he was fast enough. I think he ran a 4.740. That's not fast enough.
That's cruising. Tony Cheese says, not a chance the Islanders are pulling this one out.
Oh, man. A little negativity there.
Alexander was saying, biggest mistake for the Steelers was not drafting a quarterback and developing him. Aaron Rodgers will be a Steeler next season.
Interesting.
Go ahead, Jerome.
That is a really interesting take. Why not if you're Pittsburgh? Why not? I mean, Rodgers isn't going to, he hates Green Bay. I would have no problem. I mean, I guess they could franchise him. Or maybe I think they had an agreement that
They
maybe they
agreed to
wouldn't
let him get
franchise
out
him.
early. They remember they had the agreement to let him out early, so
That's right.
it made
Like Brady,
advantageous to them.
like Brady did with New England his last year there. So maybe that's the case. But that's a good landing spot for him. I don't know how good Pittsburgh is. They seem like they're on the downside, but if you're going to roll the dice, why not roll it with Aaron Rodgers and draft a quarterback number one? That would be a smart move to do.
Yeah, it would be something else. But Grumpy, guess what?
What? Fan fights?
Well, trust me, we have fan fights and a few of them, but we do have an ad to read here from DraftKings, Grumpy old man.
Fantastic, TJ.
Well, yeah, we're working. We're still getting everything all finished up to where we're getting everything posted on a podcast format. But we do have an ad to read from DraftKings. Football fans, I'm sure we all loved an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game, but with this latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point is scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on all the NFL action. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN and bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You must be 21 years or older in New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum of $5 deposit and a $1 wagers required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, Grumpy.
Yeah. Nice job, TJ, on that ad read. You're getting much better. It only
I
took
thought
you
that
about
was a bad ad read, but fair enough. I'll take it.
it only took you a year and a half to get it down.
It takes a long, long time. But Grumpy. So
Yeah.
we talked about a little bit of the, I would say, bias, a little bit of the bias that occurred towards Michigan and the college football playoffs. I want to talk about, is he robbed? We're going to talk. We didn't speak about this when it happened because there was a lot else going on. But I thought this was a nice theme to the podcast, robbed and biased. So we talked about, hey, Michigan is robbed of the number one seed. Do you think that Robert Lewandowski was robbed of a Ballon d'Or by Leo Messi?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Messi did nothing. Last year, they canceled the award because they couldn't give it to Messi. He was so bad the previous year when Lewandowski should have won it then. But he absolutely should have won it last year. Messi was not good last year. Barca was in the tank. Like I said, it's a popularity contest, honestly. Messi is loved by the media over in Europe, just absolutely beloved. And if it's close, they just give it to him. And he's been bad this year too. I'm sorry. It's a full year award. It's like, I'm sorry.
This year in league play, he's got 1 goal so far in the season. Robert Lewandowski has 14. That being said,
okay,
yeah, it's highway robbery, man.
You want to know who really should have won? Karim Benzema for Real Madrid. He got that team back up almost all by himself. And I've never been I'm a Real Madrid fan, but Benzema was always taking a second backseat to Cristiano Ronaldo. And since Ronaldo's gone, this guy has stepped up. Look at the goals he scored last year for them. They had nobody else. Nobody else.
They weren't winning many games. But, you could make the same exact argument for Barcelona, right? Robert Lewandowski played well. They won games and were a successful club, right? So Messi, in the speech, right, he said, oh, Robert, because trust me, he freaking knows that the better player was Robert Lewandowski. There's no freaking doubt about it. He goes out there and he says, oh, Robert Lewandowski, you deserve the award in 2020. And he mentions that in his speech. Lewandowski did not take too kindly that because every single vote also gets published. Every single player that votes gets published. And he says, Messi said that I deserve the 2020 Ballon d'Or. I'd like his statement to be honest, not just empty words, because you pull up the 2020 voting, he voted for Neymar and Mbappe over Robert Lewandowski. And I'm telling you, Robert Lewandowski is freaking spurned as hell. He is butthurt. He's salty as shit about this because he's got the beloved Leo Messi going out there, and anything he says, it's like St. Jeter, right? Anything Derek Jeter did was always loved in New York. He could go out there. I think he used to give gift baskets away to the ladies he would sleep with and have one night stands on, and they would never fry him about stuff like that. It'd be like, oh, look at this. He's so kind and courteous. Derek Jeter's such a great guy. Anything Messi does, everybody eats up in Europe. You're 100% right, Grump.
Hey, instead of Jeter having these ladies do the walk of shame, he gives them a little gift basket on the way out. Good for him.
And then, yeah,
there's no way he shouldn't have won. And here's the thing: Messi shouldn't have been third. I mean, Benzema was fantastic, and this year, remember, it's a full year award, so everything that's happened up to this point this year also counts. And Benzema has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic, taking a young squad on his shoulders. Like I said, when Ronaldo was there, took the back seat, but now you see the type of leader he is too, losing Ramos and Varane. And you're seeing some of the old guys age out, like Marcelo. I mean, he's been team captain for a lot of the time. And he's really done a fantastic job. I thought he really deserved it this year, even over Lewandowski, because Bayern Munich is a better overall team than Real Madrid is right now.
And by the way, talking about one last thing on soccer, holy crap, Barcelona didn't even make it out of the group stages of Champions League. They're getting sent to Europa League, Grump. Holy crap.
That's not surprising because they were so Messi-centric the last couple of years. And as everybody else left, it was just Messi. And you've seen their performance go choo, 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 because and Messi's a great player, an all-time great. Can't carry a team. Could not carry a team. And now Barca's really in the tank. They're going to go through the same struggles that Real did, maybe even worse, that Real Madrid did when Cristiano left. That's what you're going to see from Barca. Right now, they wouldn't even qualify for Champions League or Europa League next year based on where they are in the standings.
They've got a lot of young players, a new manager, and Xavi there. So I feel like out of the runners up that are going to be it, you do not want to pull PSG or Chelsea. Those are the two squads you do not want to pull as a runner-up. I mean, if you're sitting there and one of the group winners, you do not want to see PSG or Chelsea on your schedule.
And there's only a certain amount of teams that can play them, because if you played in the first round, if they were in your bracket in the first round, you can't play them in the second. And if you're in from the same league, you can't play them. So you might see Real Madrid against PSG or Chelsea. Bayern could play either one of those two. How would you like to have a Bayern-Chelsea round of 16?
Oof.
Wow.
Man, dude, you talk about that's great watch TV right there, Grump.
Yeah.
Oh, can't miss for certain. Alexander saying, guys, 3 years ago today, Miami Miracle, Grump, TJ, were 3 years ago when Dolphins pulled off was almost impossible.
Yeah, that was a blunder by Belichick.
Put Rob Gronkowski on the field.
Sending Rob Gronkowski out there. I'm like, dude, he's not a defensive player. Where's Devin McCourty? It's like, and I remember watching that game. I'm watching it transpire. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. But good for Montreal. Gave him something to cheer about for that year.
Want to also pop this up. I've been seeing this meme, I assume, all around Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And people are asking, is Cam Newton a future Hall of Famer?
No way.
I could not freaking believe that I saw this. Cam Newton. People are questioning Cam Newton being a Hall of Famer, and people are just like taking screenshots of Wikipedia. Well, look how many players of the week he won, and look, he won an MVP, and look how great he did with running and passing. Nobody's ever accomplished what he has as a quarterback with the amount of rushing yards he's also accumulated.
You know what else?
Who gives a shit?
He's never won anything. He's never won a Super Bowl. The last we saw him at the Super Bowl, he was backing away from a ball that he fumbled. That's the last time I remember him do anything in the Super Bowl.
Remember, you know what? Honestly, it's like, Grumpy. It's like saying, "Hey, Phillip Rivers needs to be a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame." Never won anything. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are putting up massive numbers now, right? I'm sorry. Think about it from each era. You can't just be loading them up, right? Quarterbacks all throw for an unbelievable, ungodly amount of yards. It's like saying, "Oh, Eli Manning needs to be a shoe in the Hall of Fame. Oh, Philip Rivers needs to be a shoe in the Hall of Fame. Oh, you've already got Tom Brady. You've got your Peyton Mannings. Those are going to be shoe-ins from that time period. And it's
Drew
just we're
Brees.
adding more and more people. Drew Brees is going to be there too. So, okay, Ben Roethlisberger is going to, I'm sure, going to be in the Hall of Fame too. All these players played in the same time. We're going to throw 10 or 15 quarterbacks in that played at one time period into the Hall of Fame. I don't know. No
What's
freaking way.
what's the one thing all those other players that you mentioned have that Cam Newton doesn't? They all have the ring. Two of them, for most of them. Just is what it is. And Newton's numbers were never that great anyway. Career under 60%. In this day and age, you can't complete 60% of your passes? Sorry, you're a failure. He's, like I said, excellent football player, great athlete, shitty quarterback. I stand by that. Yeah, he won MVP. They only had one team in their whole season, one team that had a winning record that they played. They went 15-1 until they got to playoffs.
And his numbers passing the football aren't even that good. They just use it to say, oh, well, he's broken so many records of having 100+ yards rushing in a game and 200+ yards passing. I'm like, what? I said, okay, what? I'm sorry, right? He can run the football well. He's a fantastic athlete. Okay, he's not a good quarterback. I mean, it's like saying, okay, Mike Vick needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Mike Vick was a much better runner than Cam Newton was, and I thought he was a better quarterback than Cam Newton too.
Much better. Michael, I tell you what.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, Michael Vick.
you know exactly what I was going to say. So good.
I mean, he was so much better than Cam Newton. So much better. The dog fighting thing. I feel bad for him. I really do. He let his hangers on do certain things.
His leeches, like, people leached around him. But here's the thing. He I think he feels contrite about it. And that's the thing.
He does. But it derailed it ended his football career, really did. And I feel bad for that because, I mean, it's not like, and I'm not saying he never did dog fighting, but you got to remember where he came from also. Okay. So that's what the guys who were in his posse did. I mean, and to have him get just buried like that because it was on his property, I felt like he was railroaded. I really did. I thought he was railroaded, but he's certainly gone above and beyond, since he's gotten out of jail. And I'll tell you what, I'm so glad that he has a job working, I think for ESPN. Is it ESPN?
Mm-hmm. And I can't remember who he works for, but I do too. I feel the same way. He has done a lot in the form of not only time, but monetarily to help communities and help battered animals, because he's like, holy crap, I really made a mistake. And he still does it today. It's not like he did it, oh, I'm just doing a one-time thing once I get out of jail for a publicity stunt. No, the guy still does those items. Michael Vick served his time, and he's come out, and I feel like he's very contrite. Everybody deserves a second chance. And,
I have so much
to get back on the story, though. Much better quarterback, much better running quarterback than Cam Newton ever was. Donovan McNabb was a much better running quarterback as well than Cam Newton either.
Donovan McNabb was a better quarterback. Warren Moon, Fran Tarkington, all guys who could run. I mean, they were all really good at that. I'm going to tell you what, though, mad respect for me for Michael Vick, though, because you're right. So many of these guys, they do whatever they have just to get themselves out of trouble. This man's actually made a legitimate effort after everything has died down to still do those things. And a guy like that deserves your respect, honestly. He made a mistake and he paid for it. And I'm going to tell you what, they really screwed him. They wanted to make an example out of him, and they did. And I feel bad whenever they do that to anybody. But he was fantastic. I'll never forget one game that he played against the Carolina Panthers. It was a Saturday night game, and he just leapt horizontal like Superman and scored a touchdown over Dan Morgan, who was a fantastic linebacker for the Panthers back then. I mean, the guy was just absolutely incredible. He was incredible.
I think I remember the exact one you're talking about, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna go. His knee's gonna hit the ground." And he was like in suspended animation, he's
levitating.
Like, he used to float. I'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
Tony G is saying here he's a first ballot douchebag hat Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he dresses like a clown.
Alexander also saying that's like saying Jim Kelly shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he didn't win a Super Bowl.
He got the 4. He got the 4.
Yeah. I was about to say, I think it's a little different there for Jim Kelly, but like, one Super Bowl, hey, I made it in. You could squint at it and say, oh, it was an anomaly, but
yeah, up and down. They were up and down every year. I live here, up and down, up and down, up and down. Great one year, bad the next. 15-1, 7-9.
Drew Wells said, meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars have had their 80th coach in franchise history.
Yeah, and it's too bad because I think Mr. Khan, who's the owner of Jacksonville, I think he wants to put a winner out there on the field. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't have the right football guy to guide him, if you know what I mean. He needs a better GM, and then let them hire the coach. You never hand all the reins over to one guy. No. I think that's a mistake. They had Coughlin. Coughlin was really good in Jacksonville for a long time when he was coach and GM, but that runs out after a while.
Do you want me to? He was also only the head over football operations, but do you want me to show you the comments?
He was head coach too. Coughlin was head coach also.
Do you want me to show you? Well, yeah, before the Giants, but you want me to show you the comments, Grump, about the game, or no? Don't show them.
You can show them. That's fine.
I want you to take a guess what happened. People Parm saying the season's over.
I guess the Islanders lost.
Do you want to take a guess of how they lost?
A goal at the end of the third period. Probably let me see if I'm going to guess last minute.
Yes, there it is, Grump. Last minute of action. They gave up a goal. That also being said,
those are crushing losses. Those are crushing losses.
Exactly. Well, at least the beat writers can't say, hey, the Islanders on a 5-game point streak, guys, even though we've lost 4 of our last 5-game point streak. We can't hear that. Thank God. We can't hear that nonsensical excuse anymore.
I mean, I thought we played, at least what I saw the first 2 periods. I thought, with the exception of the 7-minute mark where we were hemmed in our own zone for like 3 minutes, it seemed like, and Dobson and Green could not get off the ice. I thought the Islanders played well today. I don't think Nashville is great as a team, but I thought that they were going toe-to-toe with them. And I was really impressed with that third line, Jarnac, Wallstrom, and Bellows. And it looked like Barzell and Lee were doing something today. Bailey was his usual invisibleness on the other side.
Maybe he had a great third period, Grump.
And I thought Pajot had jump in his game today. When Pajot has jump in his game, Palmieri doesn't look so good anymore. That's all I'm going to say. Not that Palmieri, because when Palmieri has jump, he plays the same every night. But when Pajot was playing slower pace like he was earlier in the year, Palmieri shows out. When JGP has jump, you don't even notice Palmieri.
And I tell you, I don't disagree, Grump. Don't disagree. And Alexander also saying Mike Vick changed the way the quarterback position was played.
True. Very true.
Absolutely. Now, I want to show you a jersey that I want to get your input on Vegas Golden Knights in New Jersey. For the fans, they seem to really enjoy this. I think it looks freaking hideous, Grump. This is the jersey that fans are like, oh my God, please let me buy this jersey. Look at this freaking abomination. Well, I like the logo of the Vegas Golden Knights, but I feel like that could have been much more, sleek looking than this. It looks like a whole bunch of flowers. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I'm a big fan.
For a third uniform, I'm fine with it. I love purple. Purple's my favorite color. So I don't mind
purple because you look at like the Royal, right? Because of the Knights, they're royalty out there in Vegas. But I'm just not a big fan of whatever type of shit they're throwing on the helmet. I'm not a fan of. It makes it hard to distinguish and look at the item. It just looks like it's too busy for me. It's too busy.
Yeah, I don't hate it. There's a lot, and maybe it just goes it's purple, but I like the V there on the helmet. I kind of enjoy that. Yeah, it's a little busy on that, but I don't even know what's on the shoulders.
It looks like a whole bunch of flowers with swords.
Knives. Okay.
Swords, the swords that are always there.
Okay. Well, I don't hate it. Sorry. Usually I do hate any of those New Jersey, but I don't hate that one. And it's probably just because it's purple. And I love purple.
Oh, don't worry, Meatball Parm. You could comment. I won't comment it on. No, Grump. Don't worry about a Meatball Parm. We got it. watching the game. We're going to watch the game.
I
Grumpy, don't worry.
DVR'd it, so I'll watch the rest of it. I watched third period. No
No, trust
overtime.
me, absolutely. But now, Grump. So I wanted to ask you what your opinion is on that. I thought you were going to be more upset or angered by it. Now I'm going to let you talk about
The
because
Islander game?
not about the Islanders game, about
Oh.
hockey though, because we're going to get to some fan fights, the favorite segment, fan favorite segment. Want to show you this though, Grumpy. The Arizona Coyotes having a little bit of issue there with rent. Now, did you happen to hear the story?
Yeah, they said if you didn't pay your tax bill, you're out as of December 20th, I think they said. So magically, they came up with $1.3 million today, and they'll be able to finish out the season or whatever it is.
Do you want to hear something funny? So now they said that the letter still states that they owe more than $2.7 million still in rent.
I just have one thing.
Jesus.
Doesn't the NHL own this team right now?
Yes, they do.
Why the hell aren't they paying the bills? Isn't that, I mean, do you feel confident in the NHL if they own a team and they can't even pay the taxes on the team?
It's nonsensical. Now, I'm going to let you opine about whether you think they're going to be in Arizona long-term, Grump, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, no. I think this is their last year in Glendale, right? I don't know where they're going. I guess attendance is not great. It's been a failure there. Is Arizona really a hockey hotbed? No. They had, when you're winning, people go. And if it's not a hockey market, if you're losing, people are not going. So I'd love to see them actually go somewhere else. I wouldn't mind them going up to maybe Hamilton. Toronto wouldn't let that happen, but I think I'd like to see, or Quebec. I wouldn't mind seeing Canada getting another team. I mean, it's their sport, and why not, right? Quebec was always a good city for them, and when they lost out to Colorado, I kind of felt bad for the Quebecers. But yeah, I'd have no problem at all with Arizona moving to Quebec in particular. We're going to see what happens. But for me, the biggest issue is, once again, the NHL owns this team, not owns, but they're running it, and they can't even get the bills paid. To me, it's inexcusable. Is Gary Bettman, does he forget to pay the bills on his taxes at the end of the year?
Well, the funny thing is they were trying to say it was a clerical mistake. Oh, we made a clerical mistake. It just didn't get sent out. Yeah, bullshit.
No.
that 200,000 you're paying on a monthly basis, you notice that, oh wow, it seems like that 200K just didn't seem to leave the account.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
Tony G is saying, all right, I got to sleep, guys. I'll catch the rest in the morning. Enjoy your 6 hot dogs cut up and put into a vat of macaroni and cheese, GJ. I tell you, I like putting some hot dogs in my mac and cheese, or even some chicken tenders and some pepperoni, some bacon. I do it all, man.
Disgusting. You're disgusting.
John M saying, just checking in. I'm working. I'll catch you guys later tonight. Have a good one. Nice t-shirt again.
Yeah. Thank you very much, John. TJ, you need to wear a damn shirt. Just do it. I don't care. Put another shirt on.
Oh man, Grumpy. What's up, John? Thanks for tuning in. Now, Grumpy. So we have a few other things. I thought it was odd that the Arizona Coyotes were unable to pay their bill, and it took a public, I wouldn't even call it maybe a shaming in order to get that to stop.
No, it was a public shaming is exactly what it was. They were in contact with them before then. Here's the thing. When you don't pay your taxes, you think they just send you one bill? No, absolutely not.
Yep. And I want to show you this. Amazing assist by Trevor Zegras. Holy crap. Look at this. Look at this. We've never seen anything like that before. Holy crap. I don't know what that says more of. What the hell are the Buffalo defenders doing? Or
okay, they're not expecting that. Okay. They're not expecting that. Now, here's 2 unsung parts of this play. Look, when he gets rid of the puck, he has to make sure it's below the crossbar. Otherwise, it's high, playing a high puck. And the other guy, number 12, had to wait until it dropped below the bar before taking his swing.
God, you dying over there, Grumpy? What the hell?
I had hiccup, okay? It happens. I realize you've never had a hiccup your whole life, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
I've never hiccuped. But no, this is a fantastic play all the way around, man. I'll tell you, it's impressive. Creative. Jesus, it just makes you think what type of future they has. I mean, Zegras has been playing phenomenal hockey too.
Imagine what these it's amazing what young players can do if you give them a shot, huh?
That it is. It's quite it makes you think, what would happen if you gave a young guy a shot? But we do have Grumpy, we do have a little bit of fan fights to cover. Alexander wanted to go ahead and send this to us first, though.
Yeah, that's DJ. There it is.
Oh,
there it is.
So we've got 2 fan fights. Now, one of them doesn't actually result into a fight. It results into an escalation.
Oh, this looks like tonight.
No. This is not tonight. Oh, hold on. No. This is against the
Ravens. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, this was not.
I saw the purple. I thought it was Minnesota.
We're not going to watch this whole one. What we're going to do is watch a little bit of it, and then we're going to cut it off because at the end, it's kind of like it's hard to watch. But there's no actual punches that are thrown here. Now, I don't know what it is. This seems to be a enemy Baltimore Ravens fan, and her boyfriend or husband is a Steelers fan, but she seems to be getting attacked a little bit. I'll let you watch this, and I watch it. It's honestly, it's one of those that are hard to watch. There's no real funny factor in this. You just kind of feel bad for everybody that's involved.
I already feel bad for Little Miss Raven and her boyfriend. I'm just looking at his eyes, and he's trying to put his arms around her. She's trying to cover her head up. You know, they're giving her a hard time.
I was going to say, she feels attacked, and he's like, "Holy shit!" I'm
He's
just
like,
I'm
"Come
really
on,
trying
guys."
to de-escalate stuff. I'm trying to de-escalate things.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like to me. It's like, come on.
So I'll let you watch it. Trust me, we're gonna stop this one about halfway through, but I'll watch it because we have a funnier one later on.
Is there no fights? Is there no fight here?
There's no fight in this one, but this is, you talk about some. We've always talked about how certain things spark a verbal or physical confrontation in the stadium. Well, there's certain people that have a move, a gender that has a move where it's called throw the beer on somebody, and that usually somebody has to come to fight in your defense and honor. But I'll let you watch this.
What's the problem with the people in Pennsylvania?
I'll let you watch this one.
Shut the fuck up! Hey, what are you I'm not doing anything.
He's running his mouth. Here's the thing. Who I feel worse for is this kid right here, because the dad, he's probably, I don't know if he's drunk, but he's definitely drinking, and he's run his mouth. Now there's an altercation back and forth. This kid just wanted to go see Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers play a football game. And
he got a little more. He got dinner and a show. That's all he
dinner and a show, and his dad embarrassing the hell out of him, and just, oh man, I'll tell you. So we're continuing watching. Can you believe this? So he laughs at the fact that she's having to be consoled, and what she does is she says, "That's it." Who knows what else this guy was doing beforehand? Because seriously, I see. What was that?
I'm going to tell you one thing. So far, I'm not going to judge what the guy. He laughed. She didn't like it. You're in enemy territory, honey. Don't confront him. Just sit there. You're wearing the enemy's jersey in Pittsburgh. You got to expect to catch some shit. I'm sorry. And if you can't handle it, you shouldn't have wore the jersey. That's just part of the gig. If I do that, I just know I'm going to catch shit. But you know what? If you fool around with the fans and go back and forth with them and are kind of funny and charming, they let you off the hook. I'm going to tell you. That's what I did. Like I said, I was alienating fans from both teams on Saturday night, and I had a ball. And they all loved me by the end.
Here, you want to hear the funny thing? So this is what I like, that she was given a beer by this lady right here who feels bad for her, right? I'm going to tell you one thing. That guy was probably being a little bit of an asshole. We see the guy filming that's already there. We see another lady who's here trying to console her as this guy is still continuing to poke and prod, right? You know, you could have easily, if you're the guy behind, de-escalated the situation, didn't have to continue to be an asshole, and you could have certainly not have thrown beer in his face. But you got to look here.
Laugh. He's allowed to laugh. He's allowed to laugh.
I'm not saying he's not allowed to laugh, but what else has happened? He throws beer in his face, and so the guy, before she throws beer in his face, is like, "Yo, bro, you need to stop." He's about to tap him like, "Bro, you need to stop." He gets throwing beer on his face, and I'll let you watch the kid's reaction. Obviously, it's bad, and we're going to lower the volume because there's a lot of obscenities thrown around at this point.
So they threw beer in this guy's face.
Yeah, they threw beer in the guy's face who was laughing. The kid.
Here's the thing: if they would have given that guy and his girlfriend a beating, I got no problem with it. Don't throw beer at you. You're asking for trouble.
So here,
You're
look
instigating.
at this. Look at this right here. I wanted to get the freeze frame of this. He's got beer on his face, and he's okay. Everybody in the fan seems like they're shitting on him right here. And
no, they're not. They're defending him. I'm telling you right now. He got beer splashed in his face by a Raven fan. I guarantee you they're sticking up for him. Guaranteed.
But look at the guy right here. He's like, holy freaking shit. This guy's got beer in his face. This guy's like, God almighty, why the hell are you throwing a beer on this guy? And the freaking kid's in tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, there again, thankfully there was nothing, like no punches thrown, but it's hard to watch this, and towards the end they're holding it back.
I felt bad for the girl. Now I don't. I wish they would have kicked the living shit out of her. That's what I wish would have happened. Don't throw beer in somebody's face, because guess what? You have to expect consequences to your actions. Period. She didn't like that he laughed at her, so she slaps a beer in his face. He should have knocked her teeth down her throat.
Oh,
sorry.
So I like that. You're ridiculous. I like the freeze frame here. I like this freeze frame, Grumpy Old Man.
We don't see any freeze. Oh, here we go.
I'll get it for you, Grumpy. Don't you worry. Look at this. Everybody's telling a different story. The guy's just like, holy shit, every time. And I think the comment was, when you're trying to chill and enjoy a game, but your lady throws a beer on him, and he's like, holy shit, all I wanted to do was watch.
What are you doing, honey?
He gets a beer thrown in his face, and the kid's just sobbing in tears. And you're like,
okay, you know who I blame for this whole fight? Number 19. He never should have let her go into that stadium wearing that Lamar Jackson's jersey. Never. He's a fool. He should have known what was going to happen.
Hold on. So if you
support
a different team, you can't go ahead and wear another team's jersey. And
this is Pennsylvania. This is Philadelphia. This is Pittsburgh. Those teams are their lives there. You don't get it. You can't even go into you couldn't, in the olden days, you couldn't even go into the Spectrum and wear a jersey from the other team. You were catching a beating just for going in there.
The Spectrum Center, for those who are not aware of.
Not the Spectrum Center, the Spectrum.
The Spectrum. That was the Philadelphia Flyers, correct, Grumpy?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, we got to make sure for people who don't know or aren't familiar there. Okay, gotcha.
I was all for the girl till she slapped the guy in the face with the beer. Sorry.
Yeah.
You took it too far. He never touched you. He laughed at you. You didn't like it. Well, I'm sorry. When you resort to some type of physical confrontation, you kind of get, and it was physical confrontation. She slapped him in the face with the beer. That's physical confrontation.
Talking about physical confrontation, right? She threw some beer on his face. No fight broke out. Thankfully, no fight. Both parties, I believe, were pulled away. No fight happened. Drew L said, I just wanted to remind you guys, I think that you sidetracked the whole Jacksonville Jaguars thing. The Jags are bad, man. I tell you.
Urban Meyer wasn't fired, was he?
No, I don't think so. No, But I'll tell you, Trevor Lawrence came out there and was upset with Urban Meyer about taking James Robinson out of the game for 20 snaps after he had a fumble. He said he's one of our best players. We have to have him on the field. Just because he fumbled a ball doesn't mean you got to shame him to the sideline for 4 series.
Shame him to the sideline? You're getting paid money not to fumble a damn ball. Maybe he's had a lot of fumbling issues this year.
He's had 2 fumbles all season.
Well, that's too many, as far as I'm concerned.
2 fumbles all season, and they say you're not
just an average back. He's an average back.
Okay, for that
like
team, for that team, he's important.
Yeah, he sounds like somebody you'd have on your fantasy team, TJ.
I'm just saying, for James Robinson, a guy like that, he's a better back than Taylor. Come on, but when you've got Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback, who's been not terrific this season because he's got nothing to work with and no offensive line. He's upset about it. Usually not good to be doing that to the franchise quarterback. Got to put the weapons around him. And when you take the weapons off the field and he's making it known in public, that's not the first time he's told the coach that either. Because you usually don't resort to going to make a public statement about that. Usually you'll talk to coach behind closed doors if that's really been an issue. But he's done it before, Urban Meyer, and he continues to do it. So, I didn't like the way he did this. I didn't like the way he did that, and they'll sit him for 15, 20 plays. And I guess Trevor Lawrence is not a fan. But I tell you, it's just the Jacksonville Jaguars can never have anything good.
Jaguars. They're not Jaguars. There's no I in that word.
You know what, Grump? For how many words you screw up, I don't want to hear any of your shit on me pronouncing
Jaguars.
Jag's name.
Jaguars.
Hell,
not Jaguars.
Name.
Not Jaguars. Jaguars.
You are overemphasizing it, Grump. Jesus Christ. Anyway,
Where's our second fight?
you're pathetic, Grumpy. Pathetic, Grumpy. Grumpy. You're picking on me. You're picking on me. What can I say? That being said, now this was in a CFL game this week. Now it
Canada.
was, yep, Canadian
They're
Football
mighty.
League. They're playing for the Grey Cup, is what it's called. And you had the Toronto Argonauts against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And so there were two different fights that broke out. Now, the Toronto Argonaut players were pummeling fans from the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Oh my goodness.
Pummeling fans. So one of them allegedly spit on a player, and the other one spilled his beer. I'm sure he didn't spill his beer on a player. I'm sure a beer got thrown at the player. And you just see them punching and beating the living shit out of these fans. So I've got a few clips. It's chaos. It's hard to be able to see everything. But yes, Grumpy, I want to show you this. It was odd. You usually don't see players beating up fans of another team. It reminds me of back in the day of, Malice in the Palace, or even, back in the Boston Bruins got up in the arena and were pummeling fans.
Our pal Mike Milbury going up in Madison Square Garden, beating a guy with his own shoe.
So
I don't understand fighting the fans, though. It makes no sense to me. Why are you
doing
that?
You don't want to be throwing beer on or spit on. Nobody wants to be spit on.
Just ignore them.
Ignore somebody spitting on you.
Nothing good can happen from a player attacking a fan. Please don't. You have to be smarter than that. Have to be smarter than that.
We'll let you watch it because you haven't even watched it yet. We'll let you watch it, and the entire thing is kind of bizarre because they walk out. And you mix up with the actual fans when you're walking back to the locker room because the game was over. And these are the people going back after I believe they lost to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I can't be bothered with the details of who won the Grey Cup. But this is what happened to transpire after the game.
He's going after a fan. It's dumb.
Yo.
Why the hell?
Go, Mike.
This guy right here. He pushed him, and they start punching him. This random ass
One
man.
guy's trying to be a peacekeeper. It's the jerk number 8, whoever it was.
Okay, here's the thing, though. Is it not odd that they're passing all through the people? Here, I think if the NFL had where fans from an opposing team, you talk about how the Pittsburgh Steelers fans, if you go wearing an enemy jersey in their territory, they're going to freak out. Could you imagine if the Baltimore Ravens had to walk in between a line of Pittsburgh Steelers fans? It's just asking for trouble.
Whose fault is that, though? Whoever
designs the stadium.
Well, security.
Security too, but
it's security.
There's not much security here.
Okay, when the stadium was built, who knows how many years ago, these stadiums are different. It's not like the palaces they have in the United States. I mean, look at how it's built. I mean, I bet you they don't even have 40,000 fans, those stadiums. You're going to have to walk past people because they don't have tunnels into the locker rooms. I mean, it is what it is. But security needs to keep the players and the fans separated.
There's not a lot of security, as you could tell. So things were obviously, and there's a whole bunch of clips all over the place. And that's the guy from a different angle getting punched. And after he punched, he backs up, and the other guy gets pushed around. Now, Mr. Hamilton Tiger Cat did not throw a punch and gets arrested. And now this is another angle of somebody else. So now this guy apparently was the one who spit on the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and they started pummeling the hell out of him.
Just get in the locker room. Just get in the locker room, fellas. That's what coach would be saying. Just get in the locker room. And again, security. Why are there not barricades up?
There are, but the barricades.
Well, it looks like they're against the wall as opposed to, out separating the fans. Maybe they want to protect the wall from the players. I just don't understand that. It's just so dumb.
Beat his ass.
Who won the Grey Cup?
I have to assume, based off of this, probably the Hamilton Tiger Cat fans. Hamilton Tiger Cats did. Well, I assume after the Toronto Argonauts, if they did win the Grey Cup, they would not be exiting the field punching fans of the other team. They'd probably be out there celebrating.
Okay.
Is what I think.
Or so maybe they won and, I don't know. I don't know who won.
I was about to say, Grumpy, you could always look that up, but don't worry, I got it. Now, this is the guy here. This is the one I thought was even more egregious. I think this is the fan who spit on him.
Why
Mr.
is this guy
Cowbell,
on that side of the barricade?
I couldn't tell you, but look at the security guards, right? You've got a fan on the other side of the barricade, and look at what security guards doing. Just walking around, looking at him. I'm like, dude, you need to be. And this guy looks like he's just jumping over. He's just jumping over the barricade, but it looks like there's two barricades. So I don't know. But long story short, I'll let you watch it. It's the entire thing is bizarre.
Kind of crazy. It's like, why? I mean, okay, they're not really beating him up. They're just like, come on.
And now they throw, is that maybe that's the beer that they spilled on. This is a spilled beer. The one that comes rocketing and hits a guy in the face. Here's the other thing. What the hell is the security guard being like, hey, football players, you can go ahead and take care of that guy who's over there on the wrong side of it.
What the players should have done, what the players should have done, they should have, because now it's escalating without a doubt, because the fan sees two players attacking a fan.
One of your fans.
Yeah. And then they're going to throw stuff at you. You know what they should have done? Hey, buddy, it's okay. Put your arm around. Let me give you an autograph. And you diffuse the situation. It's so easy instead of getting confrontational just to try to diffuse it. It's so easy. That's all you have to do. You diffuse the attacker. He's not even an attacker.
That wasn't even the Grey Cup. That was a CFL divisional finals, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats did win.
Okay. Well, like I said, you got to diffuse that situation. The players have to be smarter. The security needs to be better.
Yes.
Please. I mean, that's the main thing. I mean,
it looks like amateur hour.
It's Canada. I don't mean that in a negative way, but I mean, I just don't think they take things as everything's life and death up there like they do here in sports. Maybe hockey, but not football.
Oh, good gracious. Drew L said, the thing was Meyer deflected the controversy and said that the running back coach made the decision when in reality, either Lawrence or Robinson exposed that Meyer benched James Robinson. Also, I don't know if you know James Robinson. He had like 1,100 rushing yards last year and 7 touchdowns.
I know. But even shitty teams have to have players who do something for him. He was a streety last year, who came in when they dropped. He looked good in preseason, so they cut Fournette and they played him. And he was pretty good last year. He's not been that good this year. Has not been. Okay,
though. He's one of the talented players on that team. The team is bereft of talent. It'd be like saying, ooh, this is going to piss you off. It'd be like saying if Noah Dobson made a mistake, we're going to sit Noah Dobson had bad turnover, didn't mark his man in front of the net, and results in a goal for the other team. Well, we're going to sit Noah Dobson because he just can't be making a mistake like that, like when you fumble the ball in the NFL. I mean, here's the thing. James Robinson is one of the few weapons that team has, and they sit him on the bench. That's not a good look.
To me, the biggest issue is Urban Meyer has a real problem with good judgment.
Yes.
I mean, why on earth would you lie about something like he's got to go? I'm sorry, he's got to go. You know what happened. Why not just you're the head coach, just man up and say, yeah, I did it.
I didn't like the fact that he fumbled the football. He's got to learn to hold on to the ball better.
Right.
Okay. Everybody knows that's exactly what you're doing. Why are you lying and trying to conceal the shit?
To try to throw one of your assistants under the bus, particularly after, I swear it's like he's trying to get fired. And then earlier in the year, when he's got the girl grinding up all on him after saying, I had to get home to be with my family, maybe his niece wanted to hang out in a bar. I don't know. His young niece wanted to hang out in a bar. I don't know. But it was a really, really bad look. His judgment has to come into question. And his thing, he's not a 15-year-old kid. He's not a 20-year-old kid. He's a grown-ass man.
It's like 60s, like late 50s, early 60s.
He's probably in his 50s. You got to be a little smarter than, I don't know. I question his judgment. And to me, that's the really big issue is his judgment on just everything. If he gets in hot water, he lies or he tries to cover shit up. Man, that's just, I'm sorry. He's got to go.
57 years old, so late 50s. So we're right on
He's
target.
old enough to know better. Let me just say that.
Certain. Alexander says, "Who the hell fights a football player? Are you that dumb?" I was about to say,
Drunk.
it's not very smart either. Like the fans, come on, dude. They all looked like they were about 5'6", 5'7". You're trying to fight professional football players that had just lost a game. Do you think that's going to end up well for you? Spitting on them, throwing beer on them?
Okay.
I'm like, come on, man.
Okay, one thing, I don't think the guy ever threw a punch at any of them, any of the fans. I don't think they threw punches. I just think they kind of and I mean, I didn't see any of them throw a punch. I actually didn't see any of except for one guy throw a punch for Toronto. Those two guys did not punch at him. They roughed him up a little bit. They could have diffused the situation by just saying, "Hey, buddy,
Look at you. You're sounding like Mother Teresa out here. Now you're trying to
no,
break up the fan
no,"
fights.
because those things could really escalate and
Yes.
to a really bad situation.
Well, the Toronto Argonauts, if they showed that much energy out there in the field, maybe they would have come away with a win. It was
Oh,
cheap and easy, low hanging fruit,
that
Grumpy.
was low hanging fruit.
Now, Grump, Drew L saying Big Ben's facial expressions are killing me this game. My God.
This is his last year there.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Alexander came up with the Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh. I like that. And then drafting a quarterback, maybe Kenny Pickett. He'll be there when they pick. Maybe they can even trade down a round or two to get him.
I'm telling you, Pickett's going to be
Not
a top
going
10
top
pick.
10. He's not going
Pickett,
top
here
10.
it is, ladies and gents. We were talking about this, Grump and I think, on the hockey podcast. I can't remember which one. We were talking about this. Kenny Pickett will be a top 10 pick. You can book it. I think we were talking about that during our live stream of Oklahoma State against Baylor. Kenny Pickett will be a top 10 pick.
I saw him live last Saturday, and I thought he was okay. I think his mobility is really good. He still needs to be better at decision making, though.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Quarterbacks always get overdrafted. Always, 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 always. Look at your Mitchell Trubisky's. Look at even Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch from Memphis. Look at all these quarterbacks that always get overdrafted. And this is the year where the number one quarterback off the board was supposed to be Sam Howell going into the season. He had such a miserable season. All he did was hurt his draft stock. And Kenny Pickett is the best quarterback that's coming out that's draft eligible right now, and a really, really bereft draft of quarterbacks. Somebody's going to overdraft him in the top 10. I promise you that.
He will go in the first round. I don't know if he'll be top 10. I'll probably top 15. But I remember when Sam Howell was like the Heisman Trophy after week one, he was the Heisman Trophy favorite. He was a guy after 1 week, book him, book his trip to New York. Yeah. Okay.
UNC also started off the season as like the number 13th overall team and lost right off the bat to Virginia Tech, and they started losing games left and right. And he was not good. He had a lot of turnovers this last year. He really hurt his draft stock big time. There's a reason why he's going to be playing in his bowl game, right? Always we're starting to see now all these big time players. Oh, I'm not going to be playing a Thibodeau, right? From Oregon. Oh, I'm not going to be playing in my bowl game. It's just, high name players just usually don't play in the bowl game now. They start preparing. Sam Howell played so poorly this season. He's like, yes, I'll play in the bowl game. And if you let me play in any, college, some bowl game afterwards, like an East-West game, I'm going to take that invitation too, because I need to prove that I should be a higher pick.
Yeah. Like I said, I hate the way that's going, but you're seeing it, right? It's all about the money for the players. And I don't blame them. But I kind of wish it was the olden days where everybody played every game.
I mean, that also being said, let's look at it like this. If you could risk getting injured and you're securing yourself a top, a first round pick, and everybody's telling you, agents are calling you up saying, hey, you're going to be a top 10 pick. Shit, I don't blame the guy. I don't want to take any risk that I'm going to tear my ACL and then go ahead and compromise my draft position big time because I can't compete in pro days or do private workouts. I can't do any of that. I don't want to compromise that. I don't blame the kids. I don't.
No, I don't blame them, but I just wish it was the olden days when all the players played in the bowl games, particularly when you have, a national championship on the line.
I like more. It's selfish us. I would like the players to play too, but I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all.
I don't either. I just want to make one point about Georgia. They have a humongous defensive lineman. I think his name is Joshua Davis. He won the Bednarik Trophy today. And I'm going to tell you what, to be in the NFL, he's going
Jordan
to have
Davis.
Jordan Davis. That's it. He's going to have to drop a little weight.
He does look a little plump, needless to say.
When he's a little bit lighter, because he was gassed against Alabama. If he lost himself 15, 20 pounds, he's an absolute terror on the inside. And he's going to and I'm sure they'll work on him with that. But that was the one thing I noticed about him, because he was fantastic last year and beginning this year. Seems like he's put on some weight, and it hasn't been good weight, if you know what I mean.
Not good. Now, got a question here from Meatball Parm saying, if the Jets have 2 top 5 picks in the upcoming draft, do you trade one of them?
I haven't. The one thing, they don't need the quarterback, right? They're not drafting over Wilson at this point in time.
I can tell you what they should do after you answer. Go ahead.
Well, I think they should. It depends on where they are in the top 5. If you can get one of the top 2 defensive, either Thibodeau or Hutchinson, if you can get one of those 2 guys, you stick. Other than that, I'm trading down and I'm accumulating picks. Make 2, 3 trades. Go ahead. No, you're staring at me.
I'll let you finish.
I want to load up because the Jets are a long way from being good, right? Long way. So I'm trying to accumulate picks next year's draft, whatever. Trade down from, let's say 5 to 10 or 5 to 12, pick up a first next year, pick up an extra second or third this year. I think that's what I would do. They have a lot of needs over the next couple of years, and they need more ammunition in the draft.
If I'm them, it depends who's still available. That being said,
of course,
if Evan Neal is available, I select him. It's a no question. Here's the thing. If you're sitting at number 2, I would trade back from number 2. I would. Even if you could say, oh, maybe Thibodeau would be available, if the Lions aren't selecting him. Oh, well, we've got the ability to go ahead and select even Hutchinson at number 2 overall. I think Hutchinson's good. The offensive line is what you need. And Mekhi Becton, right? I think he's played well when he's available, but he's been injury prone. So I'm immediately saying, all right, worst case scenario, Mekhi Becton's healthy and he plays fantastic. Now we've got another great right tackle. We've got a great tackle on the other side of Mekhi Becton, so we can really provide some protection for Zach Zach Wilson. That being said, right, if you don't like anybody else on the board, you could trade back. I think Evan Neal's a must. You don't trade back and miss out on the opportunity to get Evan Neal. You need Evan Neal. Do not pass up on that.
Who does he play for, Evan Neal?
Alabama.
Okay.
He's the guy I showed you in the offseason. Do you remember I showed you he was the guy who did like a split jump on like many, many feet up in the air? Fantastic athlete. I was drooling all over him. Fantastic offensive lineman.
Now, I'm not opposed. I'm not saying who they should draft or who not draft. I'm just saying they have so many needs. If they have 2 picks in the top 5, you can trade back and get is he a tackle or a guard?
No, he's a tackle. They have him as a tweener between tackle and guard. He can help you able to play tackle.
He's probably going to kick inside the guard. If he's a tweener in college, he'll be a guard in the pros. Well, I don't know what his height is. We'll talk about that as it gets closer to the draft, honestly. But okay, yeah, they need offensive line help. I'm not talking about who they should draft. I'm just saying they need so many things. I don't have an issue with them. 2 top 5 picks, you have to trade back with one of them for certain. In my opinion.
Evan Neal, you talk about him. He's 6'7". He's going to play tackle. He plays right tackle right now for Bama. That's what I think they have him as a tweener. He's 6'7", 361 pounds. The guy's he's built too. He's fantastic.
You know what? I'll have to pay more attention to him.
We'll have to watch. There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot with workouts too with offensive linemen that moves them up. Greg saying, "Hey, how do I post here?" You are doing it, Greg. Greg also says, "I'm a huge Hamilton Tiger Cat fan. Toronto Hamilton is a huge rival.
Real close.
In Canadian football.
That's why there's never that's why Hamilton's never going to get an NHL franchise, because Toronto won't let them. And I think it would be great. Too. I think it would be great. I mentioned earlier in this podcast, if Arizona leaves, I wouldn't mind them going to Hamilton or Quebec, but Quebec probably has a greater chance of them going there, because Toronto, like I said, they won't let anyone go to Hamilton. It's a shame.
And then Alexander saying, Grump, are you a Harrison Ford fan?
Yes. I liked him in, I liked him in the Blade Runner movies, the Raiders, the Lost Ark movies, Star Wars. I mean, yeah.
There it is.
He's past his expiration date also.
Yeah, it's the same thing. When I see Clint Eastwood, I think the same thing. I'm not hating on Clint Eastwood. He just passed his time, just like Butch Goring is.
Yeah. Clint's 91. I think Harrison Ford is in his upper 70s.
Alexander's saying here, oh my God, the Steelers just picked off Kirk Cousins. And mind you, the score is 29-7, and Pittsburgh defense runs it all the way down to the end zone, and they start posing for pitchers like, guys, you're down by 20 points. Oh my God.
You know what? It's almost like that, and they all do it. They make a play. Hey, come on, let's go stare at the camera. Dude, what is wrong with you? I mean, pretend like you've been there before. I'm sorry. Jimmy Brown, Barry Sanders, they just flipped the ball. The ref went back to the sideline.
That being said, right? You're talking about this. Pittsburgh might make this a game. Minnesota was up, and think about this, Grump. Think of how crazy this is. Minnesota was up, I think 29-0, and now the Steelers. It's now 29-7. The Steelers have the ball at the Minnesota 9-yard line. So the Steelers, again, they'll be entering the fourth quarter, but they're only down by 15, or possibly they could be down by 14 if they go for a 2-point conversion here. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying that they might make this a game.
Well, they managed to lose to Detroit last week, so anything's possible.
Minnesota just finds ways to lose.
I'm just looking at the time. It's got to be fourth quarter, no?
It's a little bit left in the third. It's about to be fourth quarter.
Okay.
Early in the fourth quarter. And he says top 5 Harrison Ford movies.
Ooh, I'm going to go. Empire Strikes Back, Blade Runner, Presumed Innocent. I thought I did this a couple of weeks ago. Presumed Innocent, which I liked. And I keep forgetting. Fugitive. I liked him in The Fugitive. I know there's one I'm missing. He was in Apocalypse Now too, which is that's not a Harrison Ford movie, but he was in that movie, which I
Blade
love.
Runner. People like Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. I said Blade Runner already.
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to think of another one. I'm not mentioning all this. I'll just say
Patriot
Star
Games.
Wars Saga. What one did you say?
Patriot Games is what I was saying.
Yeah, I didn't like him in that role. I did not like him in that role. I just didn't. I liked Adam Baldwin in the first one. For some reason I didn't like him. I didn't like any of those after the Hunt for Red October. Air Force One was pretty good. Yeah, Alexander, Air Force One was pretty good.
Greg Frost.
Yeah, but he had a small role in American Graffiti too.
But we got another comment here. Grump, who's saying Warzone Senior Citizen saying here, you have to fire Trotz. He's lost the team.
I don't think he's lost the team. I didn't hear his post-game press conference yet, but I don't think he's lost the team. I just think we got old all at once, which is what I was afraid of.
Yep.
And
So
I think
like
that's
we
what
were
happened.
saying that this all off season long, and we've been worrying about this for years. And we said, when those roosters come home, when those roosters come, or what do they call it? When the chickens come to roost, you're in trouble.
Chickens come home roost, Bobby Boucher.
Mm-hmm. And then Drew L saying, Grump and TJ, what's your favorite movie ever?
Mine's The Godfather. I'll say the first 2 Godfather movies. It's almost like 1 and 2. Great, fantastic movies. If you're going to pin me down to one, Godfather Part 1. I have a lot. I love movies. I have so many. The warden gets on me I have too many Blu-rays. I have too many DVDs. I have too many 4Ks. I got too many of everything. But let me tell you something. I love movies.
I honestly, I couldn't give you a favorite movie. It would be a really, really bad answer. So I'm just going to admit to it.
And I like all types of movies. The only type of movies I really don't like are period pieces. Like
the funny thing is I really enjoy period pieces. Like I like The Gladiator. I like a lot of those period pieces.
Yeah, not me. Gladiator was okay. I mean, here's the thing. I enjoyed Gladiator, but
I like I like Patriot. I like a lot of those movies to where it's like kind of actiony, a little bit, but it's a period piece. I like those. Greg Frost also saying here that Tomlin ball is most overrated coach in history.
You know what? You can't have a record like that every year and be that overrated. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He won 1 Super Bowl. He's won 1 Super Bowl. I mean, they're always in the mix every year, pretty much. Not this year, but look at how many years, right? They're always in there. If New England wasn't in the AFC, they would have been to a lot more Super Bowls.
I forget. He's been the head coach now for the Pittsburgh
17, 18 years?
2007.
Okay. Oh, less than that. I'm sorry.
Still unbelievable.
14 years.
14 seasons.
Yeah. 3 coaches in 51 years, 52 years.
You're right, Grump. Oh.
I have a little hiccup.
Okay.
And last time I talked and I hiccuped, you brought me a test. Now you're looking at me and say, "You okay?"
Believe it or not, I'm bouncing between multiple different screens, so I apologize. I just hear that. Okay. Drew L says here, Steelers might get a bunch of garbage time points.
It's possible. Good for fantasy. Good for Deontay Johnson if you have him on your fantasy team.
Oh man. Clear in present danger. And also John P saying Blade Runner. Excellent.
Yeah, he was a really good Blade Runner. Really good movie. Hello, John.
What's up, John? And then Warzone Senior Citizen says, Grumpy, do you trust Alec Baldwin with a Nerf gun?
I don't even trust him going bang with his finger.
Well, did you hear the interview that he had? I think it was George Stephanopoulos. I always mess up the name.
He's just shut up.
He was worried about the public image, and I was like, dude, and I listened to it. Here's the thing.
Do you want to know how people survive those things?
Go ahead.
You want to know how people survive those things? They just keep their mouths shut. Deshaun Watson, what's the one thing he's done better than anybody else? Just keeps his mouth shut.
Yep. I was about to say,
you can't
stay quiet enough, people will forget, and they'll just go right under the rug.
With the 24 hour news cycle, you don't have time to stick your foot in your mouth. Just shut up. These guys love to hear themselves talk. They're like me that way.
I will agree. He wanted to clear the air, and again, I saw him crying there too. And I always wonder, because he's an actor and an actress, I'm like, those guys can cry on demand. So I wonder how much of it's real and how much may be fabricated. I like Alec Baldwin as an actor. I love 30 Rock. I like certain roles he's been in the past. I like the character he plays as Jack Donaghy. But yeah, he should have probably not have said.
Just shut up. Just shut up. That's the one piece of advice. What do lawyers always? Just shut your mouth. Just shut up.
Let me do the talking, and I'll make sure.
Yeah, just
make sure
we're quiet.
Okay. You don't want anything that you say here in this to be incriminating against you.
So dumb.
And Alexander said, no, they're playing hard. I thought the surface was better. My wife won't see the new West Side Story.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you what. I am not a fan of people trying to remake classic movies. Just not a fan of it. But here's the thing. Everyone seems to be gushing over this movie, saying it's just as good as the original. I read a review, and once again, it was by some young girl, and she's like, oh, this is really good, and it corrects some of the cringy stuff that they had in the first. Okay, that movie was made 60 freaking years ago. You cannot hold things that happened 60 years ago and judge them by today's standards. I hate when people do that. And I led whoever this girl was, I've already forgotten her name because I know her picture though. And I'm like, I will never read a review of yours because you have an agenda. As soon as you say something like that, but every review is the same. They're comparing it to the original. All I care is it a good movie now?
Let's look at it in the exactly. How does it stand up? How is it? I mean, movies for the most part, and today's they don't produce a lot of quality movies. Yeah,
they suck.
Every movie has to be moving a million miles a second. They have to get to everything has to have a point and there's nothing that can be long drawn. Do you think Apocalypse Now, you think a movie like Apocalypse Now would ever be able to even be filmed and shot? Because think about how many of those items take so long to get to the point and it's so drawn out. But I just don't think those type of movies work in theaters.
Okay, what should a movie be? It should be entertaining, first and foremost. I don't like, and that's what Hollywood seems to do nowadays. They want to preach at you. I'm sorry, I don't want to pay money to get a civics lesson. I just don't. I want to be entertained. Now, here's the thing. I looked at some of the commercials for this movie, and I'm like, no, it's not my cup of tea because I absolutely love the original. I thought the original was really, really good. But I might give it a shot. I see everyone reviewing it. There's some reviewers that I trust more than others, and they all seem to like it. But I like on Rotten Tomatoes, they'll say, oh, it's good, but it seems like there's fluff and something's missing. And they give that a positive review. And it's like, okay, that's not if I'm reading the review, that's not positive for me. if you're saying something is missing, that's not a positive review for me.
I always like the Rotten Tomatoes. I usually go with what the fan section is because a lot of times with the really deep movies that they're like, it has a lot, good tomatoes, but it has this spilt over popcorn. I don't like, I'm not the tomato guy because a lot of those movies I'm like, okay. When I watch a movie, I'm just there to kind of zone out a little bit. I don't want to have to be, through a critical thought. I mean, sometimes I'll engage in that, but a lot of those movies where it's like Swiss Army Man knife or whatever the hell it was with Daniel Radcliffe. That was a movie that was given huge Rotten Tomatoes. For me, I was like, everything's a big metaphor. I'm just trying to enjoy the movie. I had spilt over popcorn. Didn't like it. I like the ones with heavy popcorn. What can I say? Not so much the tomatoes.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Critics like to try to prove to you that they're smarter than you. That's their whole thing, right? I'm more sophisticated. Me, I look at a movie. Yeah, it's good. No, thumbs up, thumbs down, right? That's what Siskel and Ebert used to do.
Ebert and Roper, right? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well, it used to be Siskel and Ebert. That was the original, and then it was Ebert and Roper after Siskel died. But you can tell within. I mean, you look at the reviews, and that's why I like them because Ebert and Siskel and Roper, they were good, but they were able to boil it down to just however many seconds. And they hated movies, they loved them. It was a great half-hour TV show to watch. I watched it every week, and it was something that I judged a lot of what I went to see a movie based on that. I really did.
Absolutely. And then we got John P saying The Godfather, the most perfectly cast movie of all time.
Incredible. It was incredible. Marlon, Al Pacino, he came off of I think Panic, Needle and Panic, what was it? Panic and Needle Park. But he was just starting his career. Jimmy Caan, who played Sonny, he was in a couple of movies too, but no big stars. John Cazale, totally underrated. He only starred in 5 movies before he tragically passed away from cancer. All of them were nominated for Best Picture. Stole almost every scene he was in. He played Fredo. And then you have Robert Duvall as Tom Hagen. Even the bit parts like Alateri as Solozzo, Barzini, who was that? Maybe it was Richard Conte as Barzini. I mean, just so many great character actors. I forgot his first name, but Castellano, who played Clemenza, Ava Goda played Tessio, Talia Shire, who was Coppola's sister, playing Connie. I mean, what a great movie. And here's the thing, what they say about movies that are really good? You go in, you watch it, and you're like, oh man, that was a fast movie. It was 3 hours, 2 hours, 53 minutes. And it's like, man, that didn't feel like that. Where you can watch a half-hour sitcom that's really bad, it feels like it's been on for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. That's how you know a movie's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg Frost saying here, let's see how good Tomlin is when Big Ben retires. I think you might actually see him improve. Big Ben is just, I feel like he's cashed.
It feels like Big Ben is retired this year, actually.
Oh, Big Ben retired already, Grumpy. Low blow. Yeah, I'll tell you. Alexander says, I feel so bad for Alec Baldwin. Yeah, I listened to it. He was just like pulling it back, like pulling the the hammer back, and you're looking at those items and you're like, okay.
He certainly didn't know what was. He's not a gun guy. No. I mean, here's the thing. He's kind of a jerk, though, honestly. But there's no way I believe that he had meant anything to happen to that young lady.
No,
I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't believe it. It's just an accident. Accidents happen. I remember the same thing happened to Brandon Lee filming The Crow. Yep, he was killed on The Crow because what the heck? What did they put in the guns? Blanks. The blank, whatever, it misfired and killed him. I mean, accidents happen. It's terrible for that young lady, but Alec Baldwin didn't mean anything by it. I just think he should not be persecuted for this, but he needs to shut his mouth for certain.
Drew L said, I actually do have Deontay Johnson, and it's annoying. He's dropped 2 touchdown passes this game.
It's funny. I'm running one of my son's fantasy teams, and his top 3 picks are out at this point. He's in the playoffs, but he's not going far when you're missing your top 3 picks. So I was hoping for a big game for Deontay Johnson. I guess it didn't happen.
All I'm going to tell you is Minnesota just went 3-and-out again, and Pittsburgh has the ball. If they go down and score, it will be 29-21. So they have scored the last 2 times they've had the ball. All I'm saying is, think about that. Wouldn't that be so Minnesota? Minnesota has the ability to freaking choke any type of game away. I don't know how, but they just have the ability. Even when Zimmer used to be the coach, too, you're like, why the hell can you not freaking figure it out? Christopher C. saying, Grumpy, why do you have a Canuck shirt? Also, thanks for the compliment on my Facebook profile picture. The guy on the top left was me, and the 3 girls are the main characters of the graphic of my graphic novel series. Oh, I didn't know Christopher Drew.
Yeah, it looked really. Remember, I noticed that. Yeah, I love looking at the pictures. You know, I don't have any presence in any social media or any of that stuff. So it's how the only way I know people is by looking at the pictures. But I was really impressed by that. I mean, that was some good stuff you were drawing there. But like I said, for me, at my age, I'm like, oh gosh, there's a whole bunch of things. It looks sharp, but it's too small for me to make anything out.
I like how Grumpy is looking at it like this. Like,
if I get closer, no, I should. It doesn't work like that. Sorry.
TJ, it's Scarface, not Sacrifice.
Scarface. You know who was in that?
Shit. I couldn't tell you.
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino. I was about to say his name, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Alexander said, how about Jesse Smollett found guilty? I did not know that.
He was guilty.
Yeah.
He was guilty.
I was about to say, yeah, I have no idea. I knew it was only a matter of time, and you looked at that story. Nobody bought that. I was like, okay, 2:00 in the morning. I was like, okay.
But the whole thing was, he's trying to stoke racial tensions when he does that.
The guy who I like when they have these cases that comes on is a guy called Nate the Lawyer. He breaks it down so it's easy where an uneducated individual on a law like myself can understand. Nate the Lawyer. I like him.
So like a Law and Order ham and egger like yourself?
Yeah, ham and egger like myself. Nate the Lawyer. I like him. He usually, again, gives it unbiased. He just gives the facts. He's fantastic at what he does. Warzone Senior Citizen says, most of what comes out of Hollywood now is trash propaganda with a hard left slant. Erica and I prefer watch TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Funny and relatively wholesome entertainment. We love you guys. Well, thanks, Warzone Senior Citizen. We appreciate that.
He's not lying. He's not lying about the first part of that. Like I said, just do what you're there for. It's just entertain. You want to know the worst movie I saw last year? Was
now we're talking about movies.
Nomadland. That was
Land.
Nomadland. That won Best Picture. And it
Nomadland?
Nomadland. Yes, Nomadland. Nomadland. Nomadland.
Even that was a movie.
Yes, it was terrible. It was terrible, and it won Best Picture. I'm like, ugh. It was honestly, it was one of those movies. I don't know how long it was. It felt like it was 16 hours long. It felt like it was Shogun out there.
What is it about, Crump?
It was about a lady who loses her job, or she works part-time at an Amazon plant, and then she's a seasonal worker, and then she's got to live in her van because she loses her house. It was just depressing, terrible. It was bad. It was.
I must say, I like to watch happy movies. I don't like the sad movies.
I don't mind watching sad movies, but they have to be good. Like I said, I'm like, what is this? It's like a dirge. Sorry.
Nerd. And then Alexander saying Natalie Wood was in the original. And I think Scarface was better.
Then I don't know what. Scarface was better than The Godfather? Don't say that, Alexander.
And Meatball Parm says Goodfellas.
Goodfellas was good too. Ray Liotta played Henry Hill. Jimmy Conway was played by Robert De Niro. Joe Pesci played Tommy. Paul Sorvino played Paulie. Matter of fact, the guy who Paulie Walnuts, who was in The Sopranos, he was in that movie. Tony Soroka. And another really, really good movie by Martin Scorsese. Really good. Lost out on Best Actor. By Best Movie to Dances with Wolves and Kevin Costner that year. And that was a travesty. Every
time you talk about that, I just feel like it's like when I talk about offensive line play, I'm like, when you're talking about these old movies and movies.
Here's the difference. People know things about movies. They don't know, and they don't care about offensive line play.
I think they love when I do offensive.
What was the guy you were talking about earlier? What's his name?
Evan Neal.
It doesn't matter what his name is.
I was hoping I get a little more vitriol than that. It doesn't matter what your name is. Come on, Grump. Come on. If you're going to do The Rock, I need you to really sell it, man. I need you to sell it.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Oh, good gracious. Drew L saying your fantasy playoffs start next week for me. I should make it in both leagues thanks to the fantasy football counselor.
I just
I don't
want
know
to
who
say
that is. I assume it's a guy who makes some sort of breakdown of fantasy football.
I just want to say that looking at Drew's picture there, I want to say he's getting, as a former baseball coach, I want to say he's a little under that ball. Going to pop a lot of those up from there.
Well, it's on a tee, and how high do
Well, that's
tees
that's exactly right. You should make sure you're top down right through it.
Drew L said another Steelers
Oh.
TD going for 2, and they missed it. It's 29-20 Minnesota.
So they still need 2 more scores.
Well, here's the thing, though. A touchdown and a field goal. Shit. I mean, Minnesota keeps going 3 and out. I mean, there's 12 minutes left. There's 12. They've scored now. They've scored 13 points in the last 3 minutes of game time.
Minnesota did lose to Detroit. That's all you need to know.
Minnesota finds ways to freaking lose. They just find ways to lose, and this is a heartbreaking loss if Minnesota loses this. If you're a Minnesota fan, that's for certain. Yeah. Pittsburgh just scored a touchdown in 3 plays. Yikes! Yeah.
Momentum is on their side. Looks like Uncle Mo has switched sides.
Uncle Mo has switched side. Oh my goodness gracious! Greg Frost is saying Tomlin just went for it too with over 10 minutes left. Watch this comeback. Watch it come back to bite him.
Well, he was going to need the 2 points anyway. So it was going to need that anyway. So now you're down touchdown, a field goal. Okay. If he gets the 2 there, you're down by 7, right? And it's just a touchdown. A field goal, an extra point does you no good.
All righty. Drew L said, I was 16 in the pitcher grump. Now I'm a retired player. I was trying to play in college.
Yep. Well, that's okay. So that's an old picture, Drew. It looks pretty sharp, though.
And Drew L said, I like to play basketball now anyways. I got a YouTube channel on it as well.
Oh, nice.
There it is. And John P. saying here, Eastern New Mexico University commencement is Saturday morning. I'll be sporting the regalia. He'll be getting some new updated pictures, Grump.
I wonder if John is a tough grader or an easy grader or just regular. I wonder.
I think he looks like a reasonable guy. I think he's probably one of those guys
he looks like he's a guy you can talk to. I'm just going to say that. He looks like a guy you can talk to. Mm-hmm. Some people don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And then lots of time to score too. That's for certain, Greg, especially when you've got Minnesota going 3 and out every damn time. I'll tell you, it's lots of time to score another one. That's for certain. But hold on. KJ Osborne just reeled off a huge touchdown. So now, hold on. Did they turn it back? Never mind. Oh, they took it off the board. I don't know. I'm just
because KJ Osborne was, like I said, my son's team has been decimated with injuries. I'm like,
nobody cares about your son's fantasy football team. Jesus, man.
Oh, man, nobody cares. You say people don't care. I think they do care.
They care about
what you care about. That much I know.
Christ, you're talking about movies from ancient years ago and fantasy football of your son's fantasy football team. Jesus, Joe Pesci.
We do sports and we shoot the shit, right? This is the shoot the shit segment. What can I shoot
the shit about your fantasy football team? That's
it is my fantasy football team because I run it. So yes.
Simon Wilder in With Honors was my favorite role for him.
I always loved him in Raging Bull as Joey LaMotta. I loved him in that role.
Joey LaMotta. Drew L said, should I do a shameless plug on here? Are you okay with that? Yeah, Drew. What's your channel? What's your basketball channel? Absolutely. TD Minnesota. Okay, I guess they did score. And Warzone Senior Assistant said, someone said they feel bad for Alec Baldwin. The guy should be locked up. He failed all the gun safety protocol. He should be held accountable. Manslaughter. The woman lost her life, grumpy old man.
Wasn't it a blank? Wasn't it a blank in the gun? Or was it supposed to? Here's the thing. They have somebody on set who does that stuff. I don't think he's in charge of that. They have the safety people.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, I don't know. He won't be sent.
I don't know. And I'm not saying I feel bad for him, but it's like, he certainly never meant to kill that girl. Like I said, I don't know enough about the situation, but you're not going to convince me that he tried to kill that girl.
No.
And somebody on the set tells these people they're actors. They're actors.
And to say, hey, it's a cold gun. Boom, go ahead and use this.
What's a cold gun?
It means that it doesn't have live ammo in it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I assume.
I don't know anything about guns either. I don't have them, so I don't know. If somebody says to me, okay, here it is, this is ready to go, you just pull the trigger. I mean, that's what they do.
Pull the trigger.
Oh my gosh. You don't know anything about music, and now you're trying to sing. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. Technically, the Pittsburgh Steelers are still only down by 2 scores. So, I mean, hey, they get the ball back. It's going to be a high-scoring affair, that's for certain. He said it's called Hoop Realm. Grumpy, we'll have to check that out.
Hoop Realm. I'm going to try to remember that.
Hoop Realm.
Check it out.
John P. saying, middle-of-the-road grader, all of my students are graduate students and the teachers who want to become school administrators.
Oh, John.
Should he grade them harder? Is that what you're saying, Grump? Because they're graduate students?
No. I worry about a lot of teachers seem to, well, they have agendas, shall we say. Some of them. I don't know. But hey, that's got to be, honestly, when you're that high up, those people, it's not like, he's teaching freshman English or anything. Those people take their education seriously. So, and I still bet that John's very approachable. Very approachable.
Greg F. says, I've been a Steelers fan since 1974, and I'm telling you, Tomlin is lucky. He should have won at least 2 bowls, maybe 3.
He had to play Patriots every year. Had to play the Patriots every year. That's tough. That's why they don't have more Super Bowls.
There it is.
Patriots are the big dog for 20 years.
Yeah,
they're back.
Guess what? They're back. They're back is right. By the way, Meeple Farm saying Barry thought it was a good idea to have Chara out there on the end of the game.
That's what I wanted to watch. I said, I wonder who was out there at defense at the end. I saw AJ today rip Noah Dobson. Well, he's not covering this guy coming in. It was a terrible rebound by Varlamov, that second goal. Just terrible. You can't kick that right out to where that guy's standing. You got to put that thing in a corner.
Joel saying, I'll even remind you on the Honors podcast, Grump, so you won't forget.
Definitely do, because I'll definitely pump you up. I've already forgotten the name. What was it, DJ?
Hoop Realm.
Hoop Realm. I'm terrible like that. I'm sorry. I'm terrible.
Gotcha. Christopher C saying, Grumpy, there was a question I've been meaning to ask you. You said Barry Trotz's system needs to be fixed. What about tweaking the system, like a balance between youngsters and vets? All teams do it.
Yes, that's what I'd love to see him do. I'd love to see him do that. And actually, maybe we're starting to see a little bit of that now with Wahlstrom and Bellows playing with Jarnac. Jarnac's no spring chicken, but he's not a 100-year-old guy. Ross Johnston playing on the 4th line. You got Parise, who's a little bit older, and Clutterbuck. They're okay on that 4th line. As long as we're integrating younger players, I'm all for it, honestly. The whole thing is you can't continue to trade away draft picks because then you don't have any young players in your system to elevate. And that's where we are now.
Alexander says Varlamov needs to go. I guess he didn't have a good third period. So yikes. John P also said, yeah, I am. I also advise, 70 students, before I was a professor. I was a high school teacher, social sciences for 5 years and a high school principal for 10 years. Yeah,
man. John, you're aging yourself there, my man. John looks good though. Doesn't he look so young in that picture? He looks really good. Looks sharp.
He does. Grumpy, how old are you, Grump?
Older than John, probably. I look older than John. That much I can guarantee.
I can tell you look older than John.
I look older than John. There's no lie there.
Oh man.
I don't. And actually, John, I don't wear any makeup for this show. None at all.
Christopher C said, I also saw the last Islanders podcast. Grumpy tried to be nice to TJ. I feel so sorry for him, especially when he accidentally messed up the intro.
Here's the thing. I love TJ. He's great, and he knows I'm just playing with him.
Yeah, it's all friendly banter. I don't think
everything is fun. Everything is fun.
Absolutely. And Different Mind says, since we're on the other podcast, are there any other NHL teams that you guys like?
Not that I like, but I enjoy watching good hockey. I enjoy watching Tampa, Florida, Carolina, Colorado, teams that have a lot of skill players. I love watch. I just love talent. So for me, it's just I watch more individual players.
I guess that makes sense. I like watching a little bit from a third party view. I like the Red Wings a bit. I think that they're going to be fantastic in upcoming years. I say it every damn time I get a chance to, but I think they're going to be good. But yeah, I mean, like any of those high flying teams like that, if they're not playing against the Islanders, I'll enjoy watching good hockey. That's for certain. John P said, "I'll be 59 in February."
See, I am older than John, but not as much older as I hoped I was because he looks so great compared to me. I just turned 60. I just turned 60 in October.
Oh, grumpy. Yeah, look at that. Grumpy.
It's all downhill from here, John. I'm telling you. Maybe not for you, but for me, who knows?
Alexander's saying Grump's 34.
In my dream.
Grump, what do you want to say before we wrap up today's podcast?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. We truly think of everyone who calls in or who puts in comments as family, honestly. And we just absolutely love the interaction that we have with you.
Yeah, for certain we do. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, listening to the podcast and the live stream. We'll be live again this upcoming Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the college football bowl games. We're going to be covering a lot of those bowl games. We're going to start covering some college basketball matchups against top-tier teams and maybe even some NFL action as well. Grump and I are working on that. We're in the works of getting a schedule done, but we're going to be going live during, the big sporting events. I feel like that will be fun right across all different sports too, because you'll get to see either some fun comments and I'm sure some sports will be a little bit not as well sharpened on than others, but I think everybody will like it, and I look forward to doing it with Grump. And thank you again, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you, Grumpy Old Man, for your time.
My pleasure.